The Brown Park Podcast is brought to you by Grow Clinics. They're Australia's leading hair transplant clinics, and you can go to growclinics.com.au. Hello.
G'day, mate. What is news?
It is Men's Mental Health Month is what is news, and particularly it's Men's Mental Health Week. So we thought we'd drop a special episode having a chat to a guy who we met online who does some fantastic work in the mental health space. His name is Jack Davis. He has an organisation called It's Cool to Cry. And so we're just going to talk about everything that he's experienced in his journey and also some stuff about us.
Let's get into it.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Question.
Uh-oh, yeah.
This episode we're going into, Men's Mental Health
Yep.
Week, Mental Health Month.
Yep.
This one will hit home for you pretty well.
Yes.
You've been open about your journey with depression.
Yep.
How are you going at the moment?
I'm actually okay. Actually, that's a lie. I haven't been okay recently, and I have had to up the medication just marginally, just to help me a little bit because I've been feeling it. I've been feeling down and not myself. And my wife Sarah sort of, had said something, about a week ago and said, "Is everything okay?" And I went, "No, it's not, and I don't know why." And she said, "Is it time to just tinker with the meds a little bit?" Because because I've been on it for so long, I know what I can and can't do according to doctors' rules. And doctor has said you can do this if you need it. And so I've had to up my medication just a little bit, just to try and, I guess, take the edge off what I've been feeling lately. And then in a couple of months, I'll probably drop it back down again. But
is there anything that heads you in that direction? Like, does something happen that sets you off on a bit of a downward turn?
I don't actually know this time around. I couldn't pinpoint it. I know just the pressures of life, I guess. I've got 3 kids. I've got a job that's not really tough. And we've had a lot go on in our life in the past few years.
Just a little bit?
For those that don't know, we decided at the start of COVID that we would buy a restaurant. Not having
much to my discouragement. You went and did it anyway, but go forward.
That was a lot of pressure. And then from that, I think on the day that we sold that and signed the contract, we met with who my wife would become a surrogate for. And that's been a 2-year journey. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, good. As long as your depression isn't from something that I said, we're good to go.
No, man, you've been my saviour.
Okay.
As well as my wife, obviously, and kids. God love them.
Token call out to the family. I love it.
But anyway, yes, I feel like I'm getting on top of it now.
And it's true though. Like your first reaction was to say, "I'm okay."
Yeah.
When you fucking haven't been.
No. My first one was to just go, "No, we're fine." And then when I sort of thought, well, we're talking about it, why the hell wouldn't I talk about it on a podcast that we talk about mental health, funnily enough.
There you go. Who would have thought you would have to be open to?
Oh, God. Jack Davis, hello.
G'day, mates.
Christo, Dion, Brown Park boys.
You were saying you're doing a bit of labouring because you just like to do things tough.
Yeah, I just figured, I needed some calluses on my hand, just spend some more money at the chiro, get trench foot, have wet feet all day, all that sort of stuff. Just the typical manly sort of vibe I was going for.
What a way to spend a day.
Yeah. It's Men's Mental Health Month, and we thought we'd get you on for a chat because you are a mental health. Are you a charity or you're an organisation to try and help people?
So I'm a brand. We'll call it a social enterprise that definitely tries to help people. And then 10% of sales gets donated to mental health charities.
So tell us your journey. Why did you start It's Cool to Cry?
Yeah, good question. To get to that point, I'm going to have to go back a little while. And to go back a little while, I'm going to have to mention a couple of things that it gets quite heavy, and it relates to mental illness, relates to suicide. So if anyone listening, you guys included, if you need to have a break, just hit time out, walk away. We can you and the listeners, come back whenever. But that's just a heads up. If this is not on your up to what you're up to at the moment or what you feel up to at the moment, then maybe come back to it at a later date. But this started, the journey started 10 years ago, and I was dating a girl called Ellie, and Ellie was young, loud, social, very, very bright, well-travelled, an amazing group of friends, a very supportive and loving family, all of the things that is the platform or the foundation or the launching pad for a really happy and healthy life. But unfortunately, there was a time there where Ellie started to get very sick, and she went from that person, that loud person, the one you always knew where she was in the room because you could hear her, and she went from that person to not having the motivation to get out of bed. Some days she wouldn't shower. Because she was overcome with mental illness, and that mental illness became too much for Ellie. And at 25, Ellie died from suicide. So that obviously is a very tragic thing to happen and a heartbreaking thing to happen and devastating thing to happen. It was also very new for me and mates, definitely mates of people around me, because this was no longer something that was on the news. It was on the telly, or it happened to a friend of a friend. Like, this was in our backyard. And apart from one of my dad's mates who died from suicide, this was the first lick of it we'd ever had experienced of. So this started a bit of a fact-finding mission around what is mental illness, what is suicide, because I wanted to try and understand what was going through Ellie's head in those last moments, in those last weeks, in those last months, because her health really deteriorated very, very quickly. We're talking about a matter of months.
So she went from being that happy, loud, vibrant girl to, I guess a shell of herself within 8 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah, 3 months, 3 to 4 months. I remember we had a massive party on the 26th of January, and Ellie was there. Ellie was doing beer bongs with the rest of us. Ellie was playing the drinking games. And she was dressed up like all of us. And then it was just a slow decline and a slow demise of what was that beautiful, vibrant person to someone who was really, really suffering with overwhelming mental anguish. She was about to start her career.
Was there a reason for it at the time? Did she give up any indications of why she was feeling these feelings, or she couldn't explain?
There was a bit of that in terms of not being able to explain it. And I'll put my hand up, is that before this, I didn't know a lot or anything about mental illness. I didn't practice my own mental health or anything like that. So back then, the questions that I had weren't able to give me the answers now for what you want. I don't really know exactly what was going through her head. I just know that she was really struggling to get by month by month, then get by week, and then get by day. And Ellie, unfortunately, found that her only escape was to die by suicide and take her own life. So I don't know the inner workings of what was going on with Ellie, because I probably didn't have the right questions back then. So I can't answer. I can't answer your question properly.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
How did you? Were you with her right up until her suicide?
Yeah, like as a couple, together we were. We didn't live together. She lived with her folks, and I was at my place. But Ellie and I were together. We were, staying. I was down there most of the time when she needed the help, and there were various attempts at taking her life, which, that's a confronting thing for anyone to have to do. But it wasn't just me. Like, there were family members that had to do that. Like, I'm trying not to use, when I describe how suicide sort of can work its way around the person's brain, I don't want to say the word sneaky, but it's cheeky in the way that it can go around the person's brain so that they can go around you. Because if they really want to get away with what they want to, or feel like they have to do, and feel like the escape, then they will be able to do it. So, regardless of us being there and around her, there was a way that Ellie was able to take her own life. And so, I was with her up until that point, but not there physically on the day.
I'll agree with that for the one reason that I have had moments in my journey where I've wanted where I've actually considered doing it. I never actually got to the point of doing it, and I never actually attempted it. But I knew that there was a problem because I had a history of it in my family. But I can tell you the place, I had it all mapped out, and I knew what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And it was only that I knew that thought in my head at the time that because I'd gone through it with my family, with my mother had depression, and it had gone in my family, that I knew that I needed to seek help. Otherwise, I would have actually done it. I know the place. I'd still, it's in Sydney, but we've driven past it before, and I've just looked at it and gotten a chill and gone, shit, that's where I have thought about just ending it.
Yeah, that's like...
So and so the sneakiness is there because it gets into your brain. It goes, you can do it. You can just do it. Just do it, and then the problems are solved.
So for you in that moment then, Christo, what was, I guess, what stopped you? I think you said you identified the thought and then were able to put some rationale behind it. Is that?
Yeah, because I'd seen it. And I'd seen it in my mother. My mother had not attempted to kill herself. My grandfather had, with his depression, had attempted it several times. But I knew as soon as I had that thought that I had to go and see somebody. But the part that I wanted to agree with was the sneakiness, because every day your brain plants the seed, and I'd drive past this point, and it was in one of the tunnels, the Cross City Tunnel in Sydney. There was a pylon, and I just thought at 80 kilometres an hour, I can completely just wipe myself out on it, and then my mental battle will be done.
Jesus,
because I felt that I was no good. But it's only that I managed to identify it. But the sneakiness is what got me, because it's always there. It just ticks and goes, you can do this. You can go and do this, and it's all over. Then problems are solved. And it's not, because then you leave behind a fucking massive problem for the people behind you.
Well, that too. And also, Christo, you never did it. So the problem's not solved because you're now still here and you're contributing and you're fit, healthy, well. So it's not for just whatever you left behind. It's what you could have had, and what you're having now is also the thing that we would have all missed out on.
Yeah, exactly.
Christo, while we're on this, do you think sneaky is the right word?
Yeah, I've never used that terminology for it, but as soon as you said it, I've gone, fuck, that's exactly it, because it was sneaky. It just snuck up on me. Because I knew what I was feeling, and I knew how I was feeling, and depressed. I was suffering from the depression. We just had a newborn. I was working an incredibly hard job. Well, not a hard job, but a job that required a lot of hours and a lot of time away from my newborn and my wife. And I wasn't liking myself. And so sneaky is the perfect description for it, because it just sneaks up on you. And then one day I was driving past it, and it just went into my brain and went, you could do this.
And is part of the sneakiness too then the fact you can hide it from others? Because you're putting on a mask when you go out. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the sneakiness is of how you can hide it, of I'm doing good, I'm fine. But you're driving past this tunnel ready to drive into a pylon.
Well, I know I was having to drive past this pylon several times a day.
Yep.
Because I'd be running back and forth from my job back home to make sure Sarah's all right with our new daughter, and then back to work again for another interview or whatever we were doing at the time. So, but on paper, living the dream. It was a great job. It was a, beautiful baby, but my brain just was fucked.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. We've got these things on paper where you got the job, you got the family, you got the car, you got the physical health, but mental illness doesn't give a shit about that. It doesn't matter about the bank account. Doesn't matter about the car. Doesn't matter about the marriage and the kids. Yeah, all these stuff might help, but it doesn't matter if it wants to be sneaky and sneaky again and sneaky again. And thankfully, Christo, you didn't let it go further and further and further. You were able to sort of work your way around that, and however you did it, well done. And however you continue to do it, well done.
I was very fortunate at the time. As soon as I recognised it, I went to the doctor. As soon as I felt that thought, I was like, no, going to the doctor. And I was lucky that the doctor that I saw was a board member on the Black Dog Institute.
Oh, that's right.
So he went, boom, I've got you. Let's sort this problem out.
Time.
And, messed around with a few different medications and stuff like that, but eventually got the right one, and I've been on it ever since, and, it's fine.
And then can we go again here? Because I fucking love this. What about if someone's having these sneaky thoughts and they're driving past their pylon, right? What are some things that you would be telling them to try and say to override these sneaky thoughts?
I mean, it's such a fucking cliche, but it's true. It gets better.
Yeah.
And if you can recognize that that's the thought in your head, then go to the doctor, because when I did it 15 years ago, it wasn't as prevalent as what it is now. And it was one of those things that only because I'd had history of it that I knew what to do. But I would say just go straight to a doctor and say, I'm having these thoughts. Because our government is actually really good with this kind of stuff. You get free psychologists, up to like 6 of them. The doctors can prescribe you all sorts of medication to help you. The minute you have that thought, go and seek help and tell somebody. I didn't really have any close mates at the time that I could sort of go, hey.
Yeah.
Now if I do, I'm going, hey, Dion.
Let's go camping. We're good. Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's almost quite not easy to say, but there's still a lot of shame around people admitting they got a problem and then making that jump to get to the doctor. So I think that's the leap that we also need to address, that they're having the courage to step up and say, I have these thoughts, I have these feelings, and telling somebody outwardly, even if it is a doctor, can be really challenging for some people.
Yeah. Doctors are also bound by law not to tell anybody else. So you can. There's a great relief, and I've found through therapy there's a great relief in going to spill your guts to a therapist because they can't say anything. Yeah.
But Dan, you're spot on. Like, it is hard to put up your hand and say that you're struggling, but I think that's where we need to get to, because we need to instill that confidence in people to say, I can't get through this moment in time right now by myself. Can I have a chop out? And we ask you Dion's, we ask you Christos, whoever it is around you, say, I just need this chop out right now. It doesn't make you unworthy or weak or anything like that, because for too long, like, I think we're getting asked, how you going? And we're going, yep, fine. It's not the best question, and it's even a worse response. And I know you've had Tommy from Find Your Feet a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, there's a difference between how you going, mate, or like, how you really going, you look like shit, or whatever he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Or how you going, mate, I understand you've got a new job. If it was me, I'd find that stressful. Are you finding it stressful? And just probe and direct some questions a bit better than, are you okay? And think we've done the right thing by saying, oh, cool, hey, I'm here for a chat, and just sort of wipe your hands away from it. Well, I think we're better than that now.
Yeah.
I think, in our echo chamber, I think we're better than that now, but we've got to spread it, and we've got to, send that ripple effect around and get more people doing it.
Brown Park.
Big thanks to Grow Clinics for continuing to support the Brown Park podcast. And has your confidence dimmed alongside your thinning hair? Do you find yourself avoiding mirrors, hiding beneath hats, longing for the days your hair danced in the wind? Well, you're not alone. Hair loss can take a toll, but it doesn't have to steal your joy. With Grow Clinics, you can rewrite your story. They offer a path to rediscover your vibrant self, a journey towards a thicker, healthier head of hair, and their innovative techniques delivered by compassionate experts can transform not just your appearance, but your perspective. At Grow Clinics, they understand the emotional weight of hair loss. They believe in empowering you with personalised solutions, honest advice, and unwavering support. You're not just a patient, you're a partner in rediscovering your confidence strand by strand. So don't let hair loss dim your inner glow. Take the first step towards a fuller, happier you. Contact Grow Clinics today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you rewrite your narrative at growclinics.com.au.
Brown
Park.
There's this fantastic meme, not a meme, but it's like a video that's been posted online, and it's two mates at a soccer game or football game, something like that. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
And it's like, you think that it's one of the guys,
Yeah, excellent.
but it's actually the other guy because they didn't talk
Yeah, because
about
he was
it.
happy. He was always showing up happy, and it was the other guy that was looking
Yeah.
sad. But then, yeah,
And that was me at the
Yeah.
time. And obviously Ellie had a different experience, but as far as men go, that was me. It was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Inside, I wasn't fine. Inside, I was picturing what I would do to myself on that pylon. But
if anyone hasn't seen that video, go and watch it because it is so powerful, isn't it? It's the Norwich Football Club in the UK that have done it. Go and watch it. It's 5 or 6 minutes.
yeah,
yes,
Just
Yeah.
get in there, look at it, and if that's you, that's a great sign to go and forward that video to your mate or get to your doctor, and that's the starting point. If you need to put your hand up, you don't know how, take that video and give it to someone and say, this is me, I need something. I need you right now.
and we'll put that in the link to the podcast as well, just so that it's nice and handy for anybody listening.
and
to this.
and we've spoken about it before. That's the most fucked up thing about mental health is it's an invisible injury. Like if you've got a broken arm, a broken leg, people say, "Oh fuck, you got a broken arm, you got a broken leg." It's like it's in people's faces, but mental health, because it's invisible, you can mask it through showing up to be happy and doing all these other things, but you're fucking dying inside, which is the biggest issue. No one's wearing a sign saying, I have fucking mental health issues.
That might be handy.
There's the next T-shirt, right? There's the next T-shirt. I have mental health issues. Ask me how I am.
Yeah.
Really?
But guys, like this conversation comes at a really poignant time because only 5 weeks ago we lost a mate to suicide, and again, on paper, had a great family of his own who he grew up with. Then he had his own family that he had started, his own wife and kids. Great job, stable job, normal hobbies, active, fit, surfed. Not the loudest person in the room, not the quietest person in the room. And no one knew how long he'd been suffering, still don't, and we never will find that out. But he decided that he wasn't built for this world, and whatever he was going through, he couldn't get through. And it was too late for him to change the trajectory of that. And now he's gone. Like another good mate died by suicide, and completely different to Ellie in that, one, he's male, but two, he on paper didn't have any dramas because I saw him twice in 3 weeks at a Bucks and a wedding. And so many of our mates saw him and they're like, he was just doing his thing, but he was masking and pretending, and the sneakiness, the sneakiness inside of his head was allowing him to sneak around us. And that is really sad to know that that was happening right here, right now, in live time on numerous occasions, only like 3 or 4 weeks before he died.
So I want to ask, how are you doing? Because you seem to be surrounded by this.
Yeah, well, I sort of made my bed. I've got to lie in it, don't I? But I don't want this to come off to sound like I'm insensitive, but I would often ask my therapists over the years, I'm like, how do you do this? Because you've just got 50 minutes with me, you'll have a 10-minute break, have a cup of tea or maybe a toilet break, then you've got 50 minutes, same again, rinse, repeat. You might have that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. How do you do it? You go, well, I can't think about you once I get onto the next client, and I can't think about them once I get onto the next client. And once the day is done, I can't do much. I can't do much more, right? So I had to learn pretty quickly that I can't take on a lot of other people's problems because, in fact, this is how we met. In the Facebook comments, someone, and you guys stood up for me in the Facebook comments. Like, there's lots of comments in there saying, I need help, I'm struggling, I need help, I'm struggling. Like, I can't help strangers on Facebook. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's even legal, but there's only so much we can do, right? A lot of the coping that I do is by just looking after my own mental health and my own physical health. But look, Sundays are really great, but then Sundays I get stopped in my tracks when I hear from it because I call or email customers after they buy something just to say thanks and find out what is important to them in their world of mental health. And some of those emails and some of those calls just stop you in your tracks. Like there's some really sad stories out there. There's some really great mental health wins and great mental health losses and mental illness wins and losses and all that. But look, I'm not saying it's easy, but part of me just has to, when the laptop closes, I have to try and leave that And that's probably just a good lesson for all of us anyway, no matter what job we do. You can close the laptop, get in the car, walk home, train home, and when your head hits the pillow or when you arrive home and you've got your kids or your dog or whoever, or the telly, just enjoy that because there's not much more you can do. There's not much more you have to do.
Learning to be present now and being grateful for what you have now helps you center. I find if I'm slipping or dipping, then I've even got on my phone as a screensaver now, like be present now, just so I can try to center in those moments. Even, the distractions in this world these days are fucking everywhere. So, I mean, the phone is the biggest one for me. That's why I put be present now, to try to just put my phone aside and just, focus on what's here rather than worry about everything else that's out of my control.
Isn't it different though, Dion, when you go to watch telly and you've got your phone next to you? And then isn't it different when you go to watch telly and your phone's in the other room?
Yeah.
It's a completely different experience. And that's like being present, or like when you're cooking or when you're walking down the street. Like, these things we can do. You just have to concentrate it at the start and just be present and concentrate on being present. And it is more enjoyable.
You said you were in therapy. Did you start therapy after Ellie left this world, or were you in therapy before this happened?
So my very first batch of therapy was going to be as Ellie was going through, these serious cries for help and non-fatal suicide attempts. And I was going there to try and figure out what was going on with Ellie, this fact-finding mission of, how does this happen to someone? How can I help? And move through that. But before my first session of therapy, Ellie ended up dying. So that therapy session became equal parts what is mental illness and suicide and what's grief. And trying to get through those things as well.
Now, how long ago was this?
Last month, it was 10 years.
And you can tell by the way you tell the story, it's still raw.
Well, yeah, it is. And that's because I've allowed it to be raw again. After Ellie's death, it was like a fact-finding mission about mental illness and suicide. And then, all right, grieving. That's the other part of death, right? Yep. And so this is what really started a mental health, I'm going to say it, mental health journey. I've got to get a new word for this. But
road trip.
This mental health, road trip.
Mental health pub crawl?
Yeah, pub crawl.
There we go.
And so I'm obviously shattered and devastated. And I'd be crying, waking up, crying, falling asleep in the car, in the shower. And one day I was getting ready for work and I saw a pair of Ellie's runners in my closet. And I just said, nah, I'm not being sad anymore. I'm done. I don't want the sick to my stomach feeling. I don't want the frog in my throat. I don't want the tears. I don't want the uncontrollable crying. So I just parked it. I said, nah, I'm done. I'm done with sadness. That's it. Time out. Ellie, I didn't forget about Ellie, but when I thought of her, it wasn't, I need to bawl my eyes out. And then what had happened over the years that I was finding that by parking sadness, it was starting to come out in other emotions that weren't quite helpful. And it was particularly anger. And I was hot-headed. I was a bit of a prick. I was always bubbling. And something was always about to set me off. And I didn't like how I was behaving. I didn't like how I was treating other people. And when my head hit the pillow at night, I'd be like, I don't like how I did that to that person. And I don't like how it's making me feel. So I saw these patterns reoccurring. And then, getting in and out of relationships and they were like the dog's brekkie, the way I was treating people. And I was like, right, what am I going to do here? I'm going to go and fix this somehow. And I took myself back to therapy and worked through that, came back out of therapy. I worked for a bit, same old patterns, same old ruminating negative thoughts, back to therapy. We go again for longer, in and out sort of thing. And one day, finally, the penny dropped. And I think when I say penny drop, it discounts the actual work that went into this, which is like the therapy and the reading and the inward thinking and the confusion and the doubt. But what I'd learned is that our emotions are all normal. There's no good and bad, and they're all natural and equal. So once I learned this, I'm like, hang on, I can be sad. So I let sadness back in. And like, well, I can still be angry. So I kept anger there, but I was regulating it better. And then happiness and joy would continue. So rather than being this happy, angry, or ecstatic, erratic person, always bubbling, I became like this wavy, cruisy person. Like my shoulders were less tense, my knees were less tense. From a physiological perspective, I was completely different. But from a mind perspective, I was calmer and more level-headed. So no longer was I having arguments, I was having discussions. Yep. And this just brought everything back into line. I'm like, okay, this is what it is to feel the emotions and respect the emotions. And now, Christo, back to your question. That's why, because I'm not afraid of being sad. And I know now that I'm probably due for a cry. I can just feel it. Like, I know that this is going to happen. I'm not afraid to be sad and pay respect to the sadness when it comes. I'm not afraid to be angry, but don't, fly off the handle and call people this and that or do something physical. Like, you can be angry, you can be furious, you can be filled with rage, but like, what do we do with it? And like, is it, just take a step back, have your deep breaths, count back from 3, whatever it helps you to do, you can be angry and you can retain that anger. You can retain it, but it's paying attention to these emotions is the power of like what I found and what I'm really trying to push on to people, and having them normalize and not burying things. We just have the emotions and let them evolve or evaporate, which isn't burying. Like, we pay attention to them, we respect them, and most of all, we talk about them with our mates and we be very open and honest about them, because it helps us have way better conversations, better and more meaningful conversations about how we're feeling, which is great for us because it gets it off our chest in the best way possible. But then for the other person, they're like, oh, fuck, that's how he's feeling. Yeah. Like, that's great. How do I then respond to that? And then for the next time, I can check in and say, are you still feeling this, or are we feeling something else? And it's just helping people expand their, give them the confidence to do it. And then how do we do it? Well, then give them the tools to go and do this and have the better conversations with the words that we can learn.
What you said there too, when you said, I woke up the day, saw Ellie's runners and I went, that's it, I'm not going to be sad anymore. What you did in that moment, for lack of a better term, is suppress it. You just buried it and it was bubbling 100%. Up in other areas of your life. So there is absolutely something in honouring a feeling and letting it be present in your body for a period of time. It doesn't have to define you, but like you say, you definitely have to honour that, because if you're not honouring it, it's going to show up in other areas of your life in a fucking horrible way. Yeah,
and it'll turn up and you'll pay someone out that doesn't deserve it, because there's all this bullshit that's been happening here, but then you fly off the handle. Road rage is a great example. You're like, that person doesn't deserve it. They probably didn't even drive that badly, but because you've been ignoring these little things and there's this waxy build-up of little things that you haven't paid attention to, then you go whack. And poor little old Betty who cut you off on the highway.
They have a theory for that with or they have a saying for that with kids. And I think the same applies to adults. It's the Coke bottle effect. Yeah. So what that means is that when a kid wakes up and they might not have the breakfast they want, but they go to school and they're a little bit unhappy. So the bottle of Coke has just been shook just a little bit. And then they get to school and they might drop their water bottle and the water goes everywhere. That's nothing big to any adult, but to a kid, that's an embarrassing moment. So the Coke bottle gets shook a bit more. Teacher might tell them off. Coke bottle gets shook a bit more. And then they finally get home, lid comes off the Coke bottle and...
Seen that before, yes.
Yeah, right? But that's a similar thing to what you're saying for adults.
Well, yeah, like I think we could all put that in our own lives. We've said it to kids. Yeah. Should we be saying it to ourselves?
But it meant we'd use a beer bottle rather than a Coke bottle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are on a mental health pub crawl, remember? So
yeah, 100%.
Brown Pop.
We need to say thank you to Grow Clinics for their continued support of our podcast. Now, if you're sick of zooming in on your hairline, focusing on your thinning hair with every picture that gets taken, maybe it's time to explore a Grow Clinics hair transplant. Their experienced team combines the precision of science with the artistry of aesthetics, ensuring a hairline that looks and feels completely natural. They employ state-of-the-art technology for seamless, minimally invasive procedures that maximise comfort and recovery. Now, there's no one size that fits all here. They believe in personalised solutions, addressing your unique concerns and goals for a hair restoration journey as unique as you are. Your comfort and confidence are their top priorities. From initial consultation to post-procedure care, Grow Clinics provides a supportive environment every step of the way. We can attest to that. Grow Clinic's track record speaks for itself, so join many of the individuals who have experienced the transformative power of Grow Clinic's hair transplants. Head over to their website at growclinics.com.au to book a free consultation and tell them Brown Park sent you.
Brown
Park. How have you been able to move on with your life? Have you found another partner? And how does the learnings of the past relate to you now?
Yeah, I have a partner at the moment. She's great.
Yep.
And I said to her recently, it's like, this is the first relationship that I've been in where I'm not trying to escape from it, because
Yep.
previous relationships, again, these thoughts, these whirring thoughts of like, you're not meant to be here in this relationship. You're not meant to be here in this relationship. You're not treating them very well. You're not treating yourself very well. You're not happy. How do you get out of it? How do you get out of it? How do you get out of it? And that was just me, whether or not this work with therapists around paying attention to emotions, and then also looking at, why would I be feeling these feelings and emotions and ways in these relationships. And some of this work that I did was to do with attachment styles, which is sort of a whole another beast of why we think we are the way we are. And, I just feel like, no, I truly believe that people can change. If you want to change, you can change, but you've got to put the work in. Like, it's hard and it's yuck and it's messy, but the reward is fucking unbelievable. So all those relationships that I had between Ellie and now, they were hard as fuck because I was in my head the whole time about not deserving to be there or not wanting to be there. So like, this is a pattern that I hate. This is a pattern that I don't want to live with. And I'm afraid that if I think, oh, it's just this relationship, I'll go get another one and that'll be changed. But it didn't. And then I'm like, oh, then I'll get another one and it'll change. It didn't work. So I'm like, well, what's the common denominator? I'm the common denominator. And these thoughts are the common denominator. So I had to go and look at it. So, there was, and whether or not those thoughts were, majority of that was because of Ellie or because of some sort of thing in my childhood, I don't know. I'll probably never know, and it's not worth me finding out now. But what I have found out is how to be a boyfriend that wants to be in a relationship and shows up and presents as the best person as many times as possible, as often as possible.
Yeah, because we're never going to be at our best all the time, are we? So it's
no, of course not. Of course not. You're right.
That also, I don't want to go, hey, bring it back to me, but it's a similar thing with depression. Because I've had moments where I've gone back into it and had to then admit it and gone, no, I'm being a fuckwit. And having to then go, okay, well, what's happened? Why am I like this? And then what can I do about it to get myself out of the funk again? And, show up for myself and do the hard work yet again and go through the process and go through going to therapy and all that kind of stuff. So then I can show up for my family, show up for my wife.
Sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it's been exhausting. No, I'm serious. It is. I mean, because sometimes, and I can see why people get to the end of their rope. You get to the end of it because you just want to quiet the noise. And there are ways to quieten the noise without having to take the drastic step, because you quietening your noise makes the noise for everybody else you leave behind 1,000,000 times worse. Yeah. And that was something my wife said. She said, what if you'd have done this? What if you had have gone through with it? She said, I would have been a single parent. She said I would have lost the love of my life. At least I think that's what she said. I might be paraphrasing that part.
Well, no, I think you made that part up.
Yeah, maybe.
She may have taken the opportunity to upgrade. Who knows?
But she said I would have lost my husband. I would have lost the kids. Would have lost their father, or the kid would have lost their father at the time. Like, it. I hate to say it, but it's a selfish thing to do. Would you agree?
I think the language around it is the opposite. I think it's part of it is selfless, because the person in that position thinks they're such a burden. They don't want to be there. Everyone else was better off without them. In some circumstances, this is what, I'm a burden. I shouldn't be here. I'm not built for this world. I'm worthless. Everyone else would be better off without me. So they see it as a selfless act. So they're doing everyone else a favor, which is absolutely fucking incorrect. We all know that, but this is the sneaky thoughts that go bang, 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 and just pummel and pummel and pummel. So I think the selfish thing, like when we describe, I think it's a bit maybe a bit outdated now, is when we say, "Oh, they were so selfish because they did that, because look at what they left behind." I think in their mind they're trying to be selfless because they think they're the burden, which is absolutely not true.
No, but you absolutely hit the nail on the head. Yeah. I stand corrected on that one, because the way you put it is exactly the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
So I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I was being a burden to everybody.
And now in hindsight, you get to see that was absolutely untrue.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy being a burden to people now. It's great.
Now he just likes to spread the burden out. Jackie just takes everyone else down around him. That's what he does.
Gents, thanks very much for having me on. Can I just have a couple of minutes at the end here just to try and shift people's attitudes towards mental health and maybe unlock some thoughts for people?
100%.
So, Dan, I think somewhere at the start of the at the chat you mentioned, you can see a sore knee, you can go get your knee checked. You can't really see the sore head, so you don't know if or when you need to get it checked.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us have heard the saying, if you've got a sore knee, go get your knee checked. If you've got a sore head, you can go get your head checked, right? I think we've all heard that once upon a time. I think that has served its purpose. I think that is now done. And I want to make that one redundant, because whilst it might say, oh yeah, cool, I can go get it checked, it leaves us with two unhelpful thoughts, which could be like, okay, I could go get it checked, but I'll be right. I reckon I can think my way through this one. Or my problems aren't big enough, which I think are really dangerous things to think about with our own mental health. So what I like to do is I like to put mental health and physical health and use analogies between the two so we can understand them better. And if we think of a physical health pain scale, whether you're at a 2 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, you want to get them checked, because the 8 out of 10s, they could become pretty nasty and chronic. So let's go get them checked out. The 2 out of 10, you got to get those checked out. You want to get them checked out before they become a 3, a 4, or a 5, and they get worse. Or the 2s compound and they become something bigger. The same way we can think about our mental health. We put that on a mental health pain scale, and whether you're a 2 or an 8, you can go and get those checked out. You want to get the 8s checked out because that could be something nasty and something chronic. And you want to get the 2s checked out sooner rather than later, before they become a 3 or a 4 or a 5, or they compound with other stuff. And this goes to like the Coke bottle things that we were talking about before. You're allowed to talk about this stuff. And this is where I want to get people talking. I really want to get people here, because this is where we prevent a lot of the nasty stuff down the end of the road. We can nip it in the bud here. And I want to make sure that people are allowed to talk about these things and to try and bust through this thought of my problems aren't big enough. I use this example. There are 2 cancer patients in the hospital. They're in beds next to each other. There's cancer patient A, and they've been diagnosed with cancer, and they've got 2 years to live. No more, no less. That's a shit situation. There's shit cards to be dealt with. I'd be angry. I'd be upset. I'd be devastated. I'd be sad. Cancer patient B, in the next bed, they've been diagnosed with cancer. Only 1 year to live. 365 days. No more, no less. That's a shit deal as well. They're probably sad. They're probably angry. They're probably devastated. Now, because this person's situation is worse, does this discount this person from talking about how they're feeling and about how shit their cards are? Fuck no. This person is allowed to speak about their problems just because this one's a little bit worse. There's always going to be someone that has it worse. There's always going to be someone that has it better. So let's start thinking about our mental health like that, and fuck off this thought that is, my problems aren't big enough, or I'm not worthy. Put them to bed, because right now that problem is fucking big relative to you.
Perfect.
So go and put your hand up. It's worthy. You've just got to get out there and have these conversations. And these conversations, they're fucking hard. I know they're hard, but they're not about perfection. They're about practice. So let's go and start practicing these conversations with our friends and our family.
Well said, man.
I'm going to go make a few phone calls, Jack. Good job.
Yeah. Mate, we're going to put all the links to everything to do with It's Cool to Cry in the show notes to this podcast, and particularly being Mental Health Week for men. Even though you're speaking about the loss of your partner, Ellie, at the time, I think it's still prevalent to everybody, the situation. But please keep up the good work, and thank you so much, man.
You're an absolute legend, champion. Love your work.
Gents, thanks very much for having me on, and thanks for having the guests that do the heavy lifting in their world to do with mental health, and thanks also for being just honest with your own shit. I know you've both have been put your hand up over the journey and spoken about your own stuff, and you're setting a great example, so thank you very much.
Jack, it's no longer a journey, mate. It's a pub crawl.
We're going on a mental health pub crawl. That's what we're doing.
Thank you, fellas.
The Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
It's cool. I don't want to